Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
We've talked before about drones, and we talked before about the legalities of them, police using them, you using them, where you can fly them, where you can't fly them being regulated by the FAA, and so on. And so we got a story here, the headline of which makes complete sense. But of course, as the story unfolded, the guy at the center might not have quite realized what was happening. Man who shot down police drone with a rifle pleads guilty, faces fine and jail time. So there's a police drone, and he shot it down. Now, I don't think he knew it was a police drone, or actually didn't think through his actions at the very least. So Alyssa Gary wrote this for WUFT. A great shot led a Lake County man, this is out of Florida, to getting a $29,000 fine and up to 10 years in federal prison. Federal prison, because again, I said regulation by the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. It's federal. So the man is 52 years old. He shot down the police drone in 2021, and he has also pleaded guilty to possession of a firearm as a felon. His plea deal includes a damages payment of $29,000 and up to 10 years in prison. Now, he had 29 previous felony convictions, which probably didn't help him a lot when he went to court on this one, including grand theft and assault, and he has served time in prison. Now, Florida statutes prohibit convicted felons from owning firearms. That's part of his problem. And so he admitted to illegally owning the rifle when deputies confronted him about what was going on. So deputies responded to a possible burglary at a property in Florida next door to this man's home in July of 2021. So they deployed a drone to search the area and to see what was going on. They then heard gunshots from nearby and saw the drone fall from the sky. Following the gunshots, the deputies approached the man who was shirtless and holding a cigarette in his front yard, and at first he denied responsibility. He said, "I wasn't shooting no drone." And they say he said that twice according to body camera footage, so pretty much that's a correct and accurate quote, we believe. "I wasn't shooting no drone." When deputies told him the drone carried a camera, he remained silent, shaking his head and sighing. He then admitted to shooting the drone and claimed it was harassing him. "Why in the F are they doing this to me?" he said when confronted by police about the fact that he may have shot down a drone. A deputy explained they're investigating the property next door. And they got his name, and after running his name through a criminal history search, they discovered his past felony convictions, and that's when the stuff started piling up against him. The sheriff's office seized his rifle and his ammunition. The drone was reduced to a blackened chunk of metal after it fell out of the sky. It hit a metal roof on the way down, and it caught fire. Police found what was left of it on the ground, according to body camera footage. Again, the sheriff's office valued the drone at $29,000. Now, I was skeptical of that because they said it was a DJI Matrice 300, M-A-T-R-I-C-E. Matrice? Mattress? It's probably Matrice or something. But a DJI 300. And if you go on the manufacturer's website, it does list it as being valued at over $10,000. So it's an expensive drone, but you can also get all kinds of fancy attachments, like gimbals for the camera and so on. A Florida policy instituted in April outlaws the use of DJI and other Chinese-produced drones by government agencies, meaning the sheriff's office will likely replace the drone with a different American-made one. The man's sentencing date has not yet been set. His case unfolded in Ocala, Florida, at a federal courthouse for the Middle District of Florida. The case is part of a larger effort between the U.S. Department of Justice and local branches of the U.S. Attorney's Office to combat violent crime known as Project Safe Neighborhood. So it all started with somebody said, "I think there's a burglary happening over here." The police get a drone in the air, they're watching, all of a sudden the drone gets shot down. If I was a police officer, my first thought would be, oh, the person who shot it down was probably up to no good. Otherwise, why would you shoot down a drone? Now, this guy apparently, possibly, simply thought that the drone was watching him. He didn't know whose it was, and he thought that was inappropriate. One of the problems that you've got, as we've mentioned before, is that drones are regulated by the FAA, And you don't want to mess with them in case you get in trouble like this. And that, of course, is the problem with a drone. And that is that if you see one flying overhead, you don't know necessarily who's controlling it and where they might be. So I've got a very good friend of mine who's got a drone. I've gone with him when he's out droning things, filming things with his drone. And it's always fascinating to watch the footage that he shoots, because he's got the little control thing, and he'll put it up in the air and he'll fly it over here and fly it over here and maybe fly it back and forth a few times this way. And I've watched the footage that he shoots. And if you were asked, freeze that frame and spot where he is, you'd have a hard time doing it depending on the altitude he's flying at. And so it's quite possible that you can launch the drone here and launch it over here and then fly it back and forth and then bring it back over here. So if you can't see who's controlling the drone, it very well could be law enforcement. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not in favor of law enforcement just flying drones around everywhere to look at stuff for no reason. I'm not saying that. But I'm just saying you're playing a very dangerous game. When you see a drone overhead and you go, I don't like that drone, I think I'm going to shoot it down. And we have heard of a few cases where somebody's flying a drone on their own. They're not law enforcement. They're simply flying a drone, and it upset somebody else, and somebody else then did something stupid. And so the answer is not self-help. There's that phrase taught to me by a professor from law school: self-help is fraught with peril. So if you take matters in your own hands and do something like shoot down the drone that you don't like, bad things might happen. Bad things might happen. So you got to be careful. Got to be careful. But so the man's in a lot of trouble, but of course he had a checkered past, we call it. As attorneys, we have all kinds of phrases we can use that don't sound so bad. Oh, the man's got a checkered past. He just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. And he shot down a drone. So the guy's facing up to 10 years in federal prison and a $29,000 fine. But those could change at sentencing. So if I see a follow-up on this, I will cover it. But as of right now, that's what happened. But again, the police say we were investigating next door, and this guy shot down the drone, and that's not good. So from WUFT, and a whole bunch of people sent it to me. Thanks a lot. Man who shot down police drone pleads guilty, and he faces fine and jail time. And that's hard federal time. Questions or comments, put them below. Otherwise, talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Hey, don't follow me. I'm lost too.